1-800-CON-MAN is a tale about credit card fraud, a billion-dollar business. And while that may not surprise you, I think what we found in Miami certainly will. It surprised us. For 4 long years before he was convicted of murder, a crafty con man named Danny Faries ran a nationwide jailhouse shopping network.
For he ran it all without ever leaving his cell in Miami's Dade County Jail, where, believe it or not, inmates have telephones right in their jail cells and can make local calls and 1-800 calls free of charge.
I would challenge you, Mr. Wallace, if they put you in a room the size of your bathroom at home for years at a time with a telephone, that I would challenge you that you would come up with some pretty inventive stuff to do, because you do everything through the phone.
And that's exactly what Danny Faries did. Using a telephone from a large cell on the 10th floor of Miami's Dade County Jail, 6 by 8 foot cell, federal investigators acknowledge he managed to steal as much as $2 million worth of merchandise.
And how did the business work? Accomplices on the outside provided Faries with hundreds of credit card numbers taken from charge slips in hotel dumpsters. And then he used those credit card numbers to order merchandise from mail-order catalogs by telephone, arranging for the items to be delivered overnight. Again, to accomplices on the outside who would sell the goods and split the proceeds with Faries.
Faries even persuaded his fellow inmates to let him use their extension telephone as his own private line.
You take the extension phone into your cell.
Actually, it was a vacant cell that I quite literally had turned into an office. We were having a ball.
And you did business?
Oh, yes, sir, a bumper business.
And it went on for 4 years, with Faries ordering everything from collectible gold and silver coins to Rolex watches to video camcorders. And with the help of those accomplices on the outside, he hit states from one end of the country to the other.
Oh, it's so easy to find Confederates. I split right half with everybody. I mean, I never took more than half. I got robbed a lot, but again, you kind of take it on the chin, you know what I mean? It was, like you said, it was all free.
Cases of the best champagne and gourmet gift baskets and thousands of roses. And they had them sent to the families of other inmates and even to his prison guards.
They're working stiffs, you know, they're not making much money, and they're seeing this stuff going on, and they're hearing about Dom Perignon and trips to the Caribbean, and there I am in my cell. They know what's up. There's not, you know, and, you know, I tried to send at Christmas and on holidays, I tried to send out, you know, baskets. And
it cost them nothing?
Oh, no, perish the thought. No.
Of course, jail officials deny that guards accepted gifts, but one investigator told us off camera that he believes some guards did receive items from Danny. And we even found evidence that Danny dabbled in charity.
I have here a Save the Children Federation, Inc., Westport, Connecticut, addressed to Daniel Faries, 1151 Northwest 11th Street, Suite 104. That's your jail cell.
I'll be darned. Yeah.
Save the Children.
Well, yeah. Again, when you have nothing but 24 hours a day, and, you know, late night on Sunday night, after everybody has gone to bed for sure, they always put these little poor, pitiful, with flies crawling out of their nose, Biafran babies and stuff on it. I mean, heartbreaking stuff. 1-800 number, MasterCard and Visa. Mm-hmm. And it's just a phone call. My position was when the people got their credit card bill, and look at it and they say, well, I didn't order Save the Children here for $22, and they look at the poor children. They've all flashed on those poor, starving children. I can't believe that most of them aren't still paying that $22, Mr. Wallace. I would, if somebody did this to me and said, look, give, doggone it.
But what about the cops? Well, they were not amused by the Jailhouse Shopping Network.
I think Danny Faries is a convicted killer and a con man. Nothing more.
Lieutenant Ross Hughes and fellow officer Raul Ubieta of the Metro-Dade Police spent months building a case against Faries, and they knew he had confessed to murdering a friend while under the influence of cocaine.
He's already in jail for murder, possibly facing the electric chair, so the fellow had no fear of any reprisal for the fraud that he was doing.
So he engaged in what is called the Jailhouse Shopping Network.
And he was
very successful enterprise.
And he was very comfortable in that role.
And he would remain comfortably in business because Hughes and Ubieta's case against him was eventually dropped by the Dade State's Attorney. Why? Insufficient credible evidence, the State's Attorney said. The two Metro-Dade investigators continued to warn jail officials about Faries' continued phone access, but jail officials said it would violate Danny's rights to take his phone away.
He is allowed access to a telephone.
in order to steal?
He is allowed access to a telephone.
Well, I know,
And
but
what he
you
did
know
with the
perfectly well he
telephone-
was stealing. I mean, this must have been a matter of some frustration to you guys, who've been after him now, according to this, for a year or two, and you're getting no place with it.
Anytime an investigation doesn't come to a proper conclusion for the investigator, it's frustrating, so.
Listen, you told the correction personnel, go in there and take the phone out of the cell. What'd they tell you?
If I recall the memo right, that he couldn't do that.
Jail officials finally did search Faries' cell, seizing hundreds of credit card numbers. But that didn't put him out of business, because he still had a telephone and one hidden credit card number.
And I had written this on the bottom of my bunk. And it was a woman's card, though. It was Regina Donovan was the name. But it was a good number. And I said, well, here we go. We got to do something.
So Faries used the credit card number to pay for a newspaper ad and a telephone answering service.
And I ran an ad in USA Today saying, cosmetic package, $89.95 value for only $19.95. All major credit cards accepted. Please call and Regina Donovan Cosmetics, our 1-800 number. Well,
But Danny never intended to sell any cosmetics. All he was after was a fresh batch of credit card numbers.
Well, the girls there, they take the orders and they write down, okay, thank you for calling Regina Donovan. May I help you? Yes, we saw your ad. Oh, yes. May we have, what credit card will we be using today? They wrote the number, the expiration. And then at the end of the day, I would call and they'd have all these numbers. It was incredible. And so I just got a whole new stack of numbers and I was off. Whew.
You could call him up any time of the day or night, and he was working around the clock, particularly when I was interviewing him.
Pete Collins is a freelance writer in Miami who is writing a book about Danny Faries and his Jailhouse Shopping Network.
The operation was working in as many as 40 states. There were as many as 150 drop sites, dozens of employees, $750,000 documented in stolen goods, perhaps up to $2 to $4 million. And that was just during an 11-month window of his captivity.
And you
in
got
the
this
Dade County
mostly
Jail.
from the Secret Service?
I got all of that from the Secret Service.
That's right, the Secret Service. In addition to protecting the president and going after counterfeiters, they also work credit card fraud cases, and they began to investigate the Jailhouse Shopping Network, too. They searched Danny's cell twice, and they confiscated over 1,000 stolen credit card numbers and catalogs. But Danny still had access to a telephone, and he still did business, just as he had for nearly 4 years.
Even on my cell door at ICDC in Dade County, I had a MasterCard and a Visa logo on the outside of my door. It was pretty wide open. So
Everybody knew what you were doing, and you kept on doing it.
it was incredible. I don't know what to say. I just say,
I don't get it. Why would they give you access to a phone if they knew what you were doing?
I give a great phone.
I'm quite serious. Why would they keep letting you have access to a telephone?
I don't know. Of course, every time that they would say, if you don't stop this, we're going to take your phone away. I said, okay, then. I won't do it anymore.
But Danny knew that he had a legal right to phone privileges while awaiting trial, so he was able to go on stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in merchandise.
Here we go.
We wanted to find out more for ourselves about telephone access for the inmates at the Dade County Jail, so we went there to take a look.
There's a guy on the phone right there.
And nothing had changed. We visited Danny's old cell.
This was the office that Danny Faries worked out of?
Yes, sir.
Not much bigger than somebody's bathroom.
We were amazed to find a list of telephone numbers on Danny's old cell wall. So we called one.
LL Bean Order Department. Can I order some merchandise this way? And I can order how much? Can I order 100 or 1,000 or $10,000 worth of stuff? No limit. My name is Mike Wallace, and I work for 60 Minutes, and I'm sitting in a cell.
LL Bean hadn't heard about the Jailhouse Shopping Network, but they did say that credit card fraud is a problem for them. And LL Bean had received an order from one Tommy Chappell, the inmate who inherited Danny's old cell.
Explain something. I go into your cell, and suddenly I see on the wall.
All the Danny's numbers.
Are those Danny's numbers?
It turns out that Tommy Chappell was only one of many inmates who had learned how to use the Jailhouse Shopping Network, courtesy of Danny Faries.
They don't even have to be terribly intelligent and only marginally capable. It's like a train, Mr. Wallace. I feel like I constructed a train, and just darn near anybody can drive a train. Heck, it's on a track. All you got to do is put the fuel in, credit card numbers, and this train will go.
But Tommy wasn't about to acknowledge to us that he had graduated from the Danny Faries College of Credit Card Manipulation.
You've never done any of this?
No.
Raise your hand.
Since Tommy Chappell wasn't going to confess, we asked Sergeant Ted Tate of the Metro Dade Credit Card Squad what was going on, what is going on at the Dade County Jail.
Sergeant Tate, level with me. It's still going on.
Yes, sir, it is.
In Dade County.
Yes, sir, it is.
In ICDC. Over telephones. With credit cards.
It's going on in the Dade County jail system, yes, sir.
How come?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, surely Lonnie Lawrence, the director of Dade County Corrections, the man who requested a Secret Service search of Danny Faries' cell, he could explain why the Jailhouse Shopping Network was still alive and well.
There are legal guidelines that say that we shall provide phone access to inmates.
Inside the cell?
Yes. They don't care where you provide it as long as you provide it.
But what about inmates who abuse the phone system? For instance,
Let's say he's threatening the judge who put him away on the phone.
We still have the ability to do that.
You can take that phone away.
We take the phone away.
So you can actually take phone privileges away. What you have not been able to do is to take phone privileges away from guys who are in jail and scamming over the phone.
Well, I think that we've been able to restrict their phone privileges.
I went into Danny Faries' old cell this morning, 3 hours ago.
All right.
Right there is the telephone. Right there on the wall
Are the
is a
800
list of
numbers?
1-800 numbers and credit card numbers. I called LL Bean. They were taking my order. I was playing Danny Faries.
Right over again.
Slick as it could be.
Well, you know, we don't have a perfect system.
and nobody knows that better than Danny Faries. He was finally sentenced to 5 years for credit card fraud on top of an earlier life term for murder. And he was moved to the Charlotte Correctional Institution, a much tougher Florida state prison, where, with prison guards looking on, we met a chastened Danny Faries. He told us the prison officials here have made sure he can no longer practice his trade.
I would like to be very clear. I don't want them perish the thought that they might think I'm still wielding my telephonic sword. You know what I mean? I can't do that.
Why not?
Here in the state prisons, it's a they're much more sophisticated.
The state prisons are more sophisticated?
Yes, they're in the way that.
So what you're saying is you're going straight, perforce, now at Charlotte Correctional Center.
Yeah, well, or having to go in a new direction because well, I mean, come on, I'm not just going to roll over, Mr. Wallace.
Isn't there a lady in Fort Lauderdale you've been talking to?
I don't know. Who you...
Didn't you offer to set her up in business and rent an apartment from her as a drop site?
Oh, I'm sure that I probably did.
Recently?
See, you would get a fella in trouble with all these folks standing around us here.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, you just professed innocence. You don't do it anymore. That's what you just told me, Danny.
I know. Well, here's what I've done.
But somehow you're in touch with a lady in Fort Lauderdale renting an apartment which is going to be a drop site where you are ordering, or she is ordering, or somebody is ordering camcorders and things like this.
As he nervously takes a drink of his root beer.
I mean, you're a crook.
Well.
And a murderer.
That's what they say. Doggone, I wish they didn't say that, though.